The FBI tonight taking another look at the Clinton Foundation, searching for evidence the foundation may have taken donations, brace yourselves, in return for political favors. Trace Gallagher has more on that story. He joins us tonight. Hey, Trace.
Hey, Tucker. Fox News has learned the U.S. Attorney's Office and FBI have been looking into the Clinton Foundation for months. They're focused mainly on pay-to-play politics, and we're told a key witness was interviewed in December dealing specifically with any comparisons between donations to the Clinton Foundation and government actions while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. That's the first investigation. There is also Hillary Clinton's private email server. The Hill has now published a report featuring former FBI Director James Comey's original draft on the investigation, which uses the term gross negligence and says there was evidence Clinton committed a felony. Anti-Trump FBI agent Peter Strzok reportedly softened the language in Comey's draft so Clinton could avoid criminal charges. The DOJ is exploring whether to reopen the probe. The Justice Department is also asking FBI agents to explain evidence gathered in the now dormant Uranium One investigation. The DOJ is deciding if a special counsel might be needed. Uranium One is the 2010 transaction where the Obama administration allowed the sale of U.S. uranium mining facilities to Russia's state-run energy giant. The Hillary Clinton-led State Department was among the 9 U.S. agencies that approved the deal. Finally, there's a potential probe into allegations the Obama administration tried to secure the Iran nuclear deal by ending a federal investigation into the Iranian-backed terror group Hezbollah. But ending the investigation reportedly led to Hezbollah trafficking hundreds of millions of dollars of cocaine into the U.S. and building up their base of terror. Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State at the time. The Clintons claim these are all efforts by Trump to divert attention from Robert Mueller's special counsel. Tucker.
Trace Gallagher. Thanks a lot, Trace. Congressman Matt Gaetz is a Republican who represents the state of Florida. He joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks for coming on. So, I don't know if you can hear me, Congressman, but if you can.
I got you, Tucker. Just heard you.
Excellent. Thanks. So the Clinton people are saying, look, you know, Hillary Clinton has been a private citizen for a long time. She's been out of politics, in effect, for a year. Why now? What's the significance of these, do you think, for the rest of the country?
There may have been acts that occurred at the State Department as a consequence of bribes paid to the Clinton Foundation, which are creating an ongoing security concern for the United States of America, Tucker. Take, for example, the Hezbollah story you just mentioned. It's not just cocaine that's being trafficked. You've got Hezbollah working in common cause with narco traffickers in South America to move opium, to move heroin, to move people into the United States. And the investigation that was going on to degrade these networks, to degrade the collusion between Hezbollah and South American narco traffickers was smothered by people at the Justice Department. And there is a suspicion that the State Department, led by Hillary Clinton, had a role in limiting the American people's access to information about Hezbollah being funded and their operations in this country because they wanted the Iranian nuclear deal so bad they didn't want us focusing on the fact that Iran has funded over 100 mosques in South America to recruit people and then to send them to the United States to do harm.
So that's one of the investigations into that, and it does seem, if true, first of all, it's hard to defend, but second, it has obvious national security implications for this country. Tell us about the investigation, to the extent we know much about it, into the Clinton Foundation.
Well, the accusation is that the Clinton Foundation was merely a money laundering operation where people paid in order to have access to the State Department. And there were notations on particular documents and bids where people would write FOB, friend of Bill, which means those were donors to the Clinton Foundation. And as a consequence, they were given special treatment. That's the type of thing that we have to know about now, not to exercise some revenge on a defeated presidential candidate, but to ensure that we don't have people right now acting as vendors on behalf of the United States of America, not as a consequence of their merit or what they can do, but because they're friends and potentially donors to the Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, well, I mean, that whole operation was false from day one, obviously. Why is it taking so long to get these investigations underway?
You know, we've been calling for this for over 5 months. 20 members of the House Judiciary Committee sent a letter to Attorney General Sessions saying that we've got to look into these things because of the ongoing security concerns. And finally now, we have Hillary Clinton dealing with investigations cascading down on her like it's a bomb cyclone. I think the day's coming soon, Tucker, when we'll be sending an I'm with her t-shirt to Hillary Clinton's cellmate.
Yeah, I mean, so you think that she is criminally exposed, potentially?
Absolutely. Look, if people were taking bribes and then as a consequence of those bribes engaging in actions that they would not otherwise be engaging in, that is a crime. You cannot do that in the United States of America, and we've got to go now and remedy the consequences. Take, for example, the subject of your show tonight, the opioid problem. If you had people trafficking and would have been found out otherwise, we've got to now go back and remediate the harm that the Clintons caused this country.
Congressman Matt Gaetz of Florida, thanks for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tucker.
All right, conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch is praising the Justice Department's decision to look at the Clinton Foundation, saying the previous investigation was, in their words, a farce.
So the Justice Department asking questions is the least that can be done, given the outrageous sham investigation that took place last year. There's going to be another pretend investigation that is designed to mollify critics like the President and Judicial Watch.
Joining me now from Judicial Watch is Chris Farrell, the Director of Investigations and Research. Chris, great to see you again.
Hey, Sharon.
Okay, so what do you make of this restarting of the foundation investigation? Because we know, as Sarah said, that some of these things have gone on for years. In part, the Washington Post says this: the FBI has been investigating the Clinton Foundation for months. This newest track, it sounds like, reviving a probe that was dialed back during the 2016 campaign amid tensions between Justice Department prosecutors and FBI agents about the politically charged case. I mean, Chris, in your estimation, aren't many of those same people still going to be there?
They are, but the important thing to realize is that through our litigation, we've uncovered records and documents that demonstrate that there's absolutely no daylight between the Clinton Foundation and Secretary of State Clinton while she was serving in office. And for example, there's one particular email from Doug Band, who was a Clinton Foundation official, communicating with Huma Abedin, where he says, hey, the Crown Prince of Bahrain has exercised all the normal channels and he can't get a meeting with the secretary, meaning Secretary Clinton. And Doug Band says to Huma Abedin, he's a high dollar donor, so we need to put him in contact with the secretary. So here's a Clinton Foundation official acknowledging that the routine normal channels have failed, that this guy's a high dollar donor, and they have to get him special access to the secretary. I mean, this in black and white, in their emails, communicating internally with each other, it demonstrates that extra privilege, that extra access, this pay-to-play mentality. This is produced to us through our litigation, and it's just one example of literally hundreds of others.
Well, do you think that this will have a different result, though? Because a lot of folks will say, listen, the Clintons are sophisticated. Some of this information was out there before. Nothing happened. A lot of the same actors are still there, plugged into the DOJ, to the FBI. And this isn't going to be that different from what Jim Comey turned up.
You know, that's what they rely upon, frankly, is a certain degree of fatigue and exhaustion from the public, and having, their spokesman go out and say, oh, not this again. The problem is that at this point, we have actual documents. We have people that we've taken depositions of, like Huma Abedin and Cheryl Mills and others, where the case is not good. It looks rough. The sad thing is that it was up to Judicial Watch literally for years to uncover this stuff and to press the case. And based on the foundation that we've already laid, now the Justice Department, with a fresh set of eyes, is really obligated to go forward and conduct a legitimate investigation. You know, when you have a subject interview of Mrs. Clinton on the 2nd of July last year, and she isn't Mirandized, and it's not under oath, and there's no transcript, no other federal government employee or any government employee, period, in her position would ever be treated that way. And I say that because I'm a former special agent of Army counterintelligence. I've done national security crime investigations and successfully had people jailed for a tiny fraction of what Mrs. Clinton has done.
Yeah.
And investigation 101 is when you say I don't recall 39 times in one interview, you pause and you pull out her non-disclosure agreement that she signed, and you show it to her and say, now, does this refresh your recollection? Let's move forward with the questions. How is it that you can say you don't recall? And none of this was done. So, you know, it was, in several instances, a sham investigation, and it's critical that now that a fresh set of eyes can look at it, and all this documentary evidence that we've produced through our litigation is in the public record, for there to be a legitimate, fresh look.
Yeah, and speaking of another fresh look, I just want to quickly note the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Chuck Grassley, also sent out another letter this week saying he wants an investigation to James Comey's disclosure of the memos that led to the reporting in the New York Times. He sent out a letter and he says this, asking the DOJ, the FBI, have you initiated an investigation into the matter of whether Mr. Comey improperly disclosed classified information by providing these memoranda to Professor Richmond? That's the one who then leaked the information to the media. If so, what's the status of the investigation? If not, why not? Just very quickly, do you think that goes anywhere?
It will, because former Director Comey is a leaker. He took classified information and knowingly and willingly passed it on to a cutout to get it published in the New York Times. His work product, he absconded with federal government records and then unlawfully leaked them. I mean, in my opinion, he is a prime suspect for prosecution under 18 U.S.C. 793F, which is mishandling of national classified information. And I don't know how he walks away from that. His testimony on the 8th of June in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, when he finished his testimony, he should have been Mirandized as he walked out the door, because he admitted to doing just that, passing on classified information.
Well,
it's outrageous.
And the Attorney General has vowed that he's going to crack down on those leaks, so a lot of people want to see that happen in this case, so we'll see if it does. Chris Farrell, thank you very much for dropping in.
Let it go, make my body go, make our bodies high.